What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar here. We are going to do it right this time. We're with C-Zar Gets Crypto. We're going to look at Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and a surprise mystery stock. Ooh, exclusive bonus. Free content only on my YouTube channel. Today's attitude is brought to you by Cherry Glider Cider. It is from Colorado Cider Company. I don't get paid by them, but I do drink them. I think they're good. And anywho, we're talking about crypto today. We're talking about some stuff. I think my last video, I know my last video for Bitcoin was before this little pump up that we had. And I say little to remind you that this was a little pump up. Everybody's getting all bullish and hopeful that about yesterday's pump. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a engulfing candle. And to be fair, out of this whole range, that's the biggest body that we've had. But this range has been pretty up and down. You know, we haven't seen any significant volume come in. We're not really showing strength on the RSI. We are better positioned than we were before. Bouncing off of this 50 zone is not a bad thing, but if we do cross below it again, that'd be bad. I do still stand by the fact that this formation to me, just having this little range here, and then it coming up like this and doing that like this, it feels bull trappish to me. It feels like here we are, you know, we're gonna tease you. Oh, you didn't get a chance to buy, and then now here's your chance to buy here at these higher prices right before we shit the bed. But maybe it doesn't go that way. Maybe we're in the midst of a more macro bounce. I stand by what I've been standing by, and I say that we are probably going lower, and I'm only looking at us going lower until we break above this line. And then even then, there's still hopes that we might not go significantly higher. 18,100, 18,300, maybe even up to here at 18,800. But we're not looking at any of those lines until this bottom purple line here gets broken first. And that's that white line. Let's see here. So we're looking at Bitcoin. What do I think it's going to do? Obviously, clearly, I think it's going to go down. We do have a bullish engulfing candle upon us right now. It is Friday. And even with this bullish engulfing candle, I still am bearishly inclined. If we go to the 4 hour, I don't normally pull up the 4 hour. I should pull it up more often. But 4 hour time frame here, we've got a lower high after lower high after lower high, and we can see here on the price that we've got some bearish divergences. Right here, this is a form of bearish divergence right here, from high to lower high, high to higher high. And then here, all we have is bearish convergence. We're getting lower highs with lower highs. We are rejecting the overbought zone. We are probably going to come back down. I don't know. I do think that being below the 50 on this long-term RSI while being above the purple line here in the price action is not a good setup. I am expecting us to come down. Every time this does, not every time, but most of the time this happens, this is kind of the rule of thumb we use, right? Let's see. So here, we are above the purple line. And we did break above the 50 a little bit, but we went back below it here. If you sold when we went back below it, that would have been a good thing, right? Clearly. You could have sold at about 19.9. You could have bought at 18.5 or even around 19. You know, if you're day trading, those are good numbers. On a 4 hour time frame, this is kind of a thing to expect. Anyways, we come back above the purple line, we reject the 50, we come down. Come back up above the purple line, we reject the 50, we come down. This red line is staying below the 50. Anytime price goes above the purple, red line's below the 50, it's normally not a good thing. This time, though, we went above the purple line, and you guessed it, we rejected the 50, so we came back down a little bit again. But then, since we hugged it, we were creeping up all this time, lo and behold, we did get above the purple line, and we maintained above the purple line once this red got above the 50. And then we crossed below the 50 again, and it shit the bed. That's just how it is. Here we are above the purple line. We've been above it for quite some time, but this red line, the long-term RSI, has been maintaining below the 50. I think we're getting a BART kind of pattern here. It's a very like stubby looking BART, but maybe if I extend this, you know, it comes up, you've got your BART shaped head, Bart Simpson, right? And then it comes down. You know, that's what they call that a BART, if you don't know what that is. It's very common in crypto. You see that in manipulated money markets, but I mean, all markets are manipulated. But let's just go back even further. You know, I don't know what I just did there. You know, again, here, broke above the 50. We broke above the 50. This move continued onward. Then once we broke below the 50, it continued downward. Here, we're finding support on the 50. This line, whenever price came below the purple, but we're finding support on the 50, those were the perfect times to buy. Just like these were the perfect times to sell most of the time. It does happen where sometimes price is, the red line is below the 50, but price is above the purple line still. That does happen. But you have to look at how it's like operating, how it's interacting with it. This one might have been harder to see, but something like this move above the purple, this sustained move, should have been easy to determine, because you've got a flat base here at the 50, and slowly but surely we're getting higher lows throughout this whole time. Anyways, enough about that. From the 4-hour time frame, I've given enough examples. On Bitcoin, being below the 50 on this long-term RSI, being above the purple line, the 123 moving average on the price action, I do think we're going lower. I think we moved up too quickly. This is setting us up for a bull trap, and then we're going to shit the bed. We've got lower highs on the RSI. We've maintained highs here. I just want to show you guys. Let's look at on the daily. I'm just going to do price, strictly price. But look at this setup, right? You've got like a peak here, a weird little peak here. You've got a higher peak in the middle, and you've got another weird little peak here, right? They're kind of like that. So let's just see if we've seen that at any other point in time in Bitcoin's history. I know for a fact we've actually seen it before. If we go to the weekly, it doesn't have to be in the same time frames. It can be similar, similar patterns, different time frames. Bigger time frames, bigger moves. Smaller time frames, smaller moves. So like this here, we've got a little peak here, a little peak here, and then a little peak here. It's a little bit higher, this last peak, than that one is, and then we went off to the races, right? Well, here we are with our little peak here, higher peak here, and then this second peak like on the shoulder that's a little higher than the last one. It's on the daily, it's not on the weekly, so it might not be as dramatic of a move, but in correspondence to this time frame, it could be something like that dramatic. It could. It very much. Let's, for all intents and purposes, this will be what I'm going to wrap up Bitcoin on, by the way, is this kind of pattern, this little thing. You can go back and you can see these throughout all kinds of different charts, but this is just what I'm using for this time. Here, we take this range from the top of the range. I'm gonna go, here we go, top of the range to the bottom of the range. The extension that we hit was the 2272. Essentially, we hit this line very perfectly. And that's how far we ran up, 2272. So if we did that in proportion to what we're looking at now with this little peak, with this little scenario. And again, if you can't see the similarities between these two, let me just show you. Again, you've got little peak here, biggest peak in the middle, and then bigger than the first peak, but lower peak. You've got your two lower peaks. It's like your head and your shoulders, kind of in a candlestick way, like in a wicking way. There's one more thing I want to go over, but first we're gonna finish this. So you see this little pattern right here. You can't tell me that this doesn't look the exact same. You zoom in on it, it looks the exact same. It's just on the daily. It's just smaller. That's all it is. So you've got the same thing here, low, or it's a high, but then a higher high, and then this one's higher than that one. It looks the exact same. Like quite literally. And if it acts the exact same, being that the first one that we saw was on the bottom, this one's on the top, if we were to project this the way that we're thinking of projecting it, the 2272 is actually all the way down to 15,800. That's not a super dramatic low. So in proportion to what we've seen before, it could only be down to here, to about 15,800, that this move could be. But my question would be, if we were to come down to that level, to about 15,800, to about that level, right there, would we not just continue to go lower? Was this not then effectively a bull trap? And a lot of bulls got trapped here. Prices are lower. Now people might be compelled to sell. We're forming a base here while getting lower highs coming in. You see what I'm drawing here, right? Like could we be forming some kind of descending triangle pattern, or some kind of descending pattern nonetheless? Potentially. I'm not saying that that's what's going on yet. We haven't seen enough of that, but I do, long story short, I do expect us to come down at least to 15.8. Ultimately, though, I think we are going to hit lower lows. That might come sometime in December. That might come in 2023. I do think we'll find the low by April of 2023, just to be clear. I know I've done a lot of ranting, a lot of rambling. I want to do one more little ramble piece for Bitcoin. This is going to be a long video, you guys. If you want to watch the Dogecoin stuff, just, skip ahead. If you want to watch the special stock I got, just, skip ahead. I don't get paid by anybody. I'm way too small, man. I'm not getting paid by anybody. I just like to talk about this stuff. So this special stock, it's not like it's a sponsorship or an advertisement or anything like that. I think it might be worth checking out. That's all. Anyways, on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin, here we are. I want you to look at all the bottoms. Let's go back in history. Let's look at all the bottoms together. Okay. So here, and you know what? We'll do it in order. Let's do monthly first, and then we'll do weekly, and then we'll do daily, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So arguably this is the first low. We could not count it, we could count it, but arguably the first low. For it being the first low, what we can identify is that's a huge wick. That is a huge wick. Okay. Next low. These wicks aren't as big, but in proportion to the candles, like that body's really big. This candle, these wicks are still pretty big. Those are some big wicks. Not as big as that, but those are some big wicks, and that was a bottom too. Here we go. You guessed it, man. On the next bottom, even before that, even on this little turning point, big wick. We got these bottoms here. That wick isn't that big, but the actual bottom on this double bottom, which is technically lower, big wick on the monthly time frame. Cool. Okay, so we got big wicks to mark the start of the bull trend. And arguably this wick could have marked the end of the bear market. Then we hit a crab market, and then we hit a bull market, right? Bear down, crab sideways, bull up. That could have been true. And we had the second wick. The reason I'm saying that is because here we go. That's kind of a big wick for the month, but that's traditionally not as big a wick as we've seen. But again, bear market, kind of like a crab market. We went up, but then we came back down. Like really, if you bought here in March 2019 and then you took a whole nother year later, you could have bought at the same prices, year to year at the same price. It's kind of crab market like. It's just very volatile. Anyways, this was a big wick, and that marked the real bull market. This could have been the start of this last bull market. Sure, it could have been. It could have been a three-part, and that does make sense from an Elliott perspective. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. It could have been a W like that. That could have been a different. We could have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like a 5. That doesn't really make sense. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with Elliott waves. I'm a little bit familiar. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, big wick, and then bull time. Big wick for the month, even bull time. What we've yet to have in this market. I mean, let's even go right here. When we dipped down, we came back up. Big wicks. We have wicks right now, but the bodies are big. The bodies are really big. The wicks are not bigger than the bodies. They're not even the same size as the bodies. Could this be the first time that Bitcoin bottoms without having a significant wick in proportion to the body? Could it be? It could be. I don't know. It's possible. I doubt it. I very much doubt it. I think that we all know how this market bottoms, and that's what I'm looking for. So long story short, I don't think this low at 15,473 is the low. That doesn't mean that we couldn't come back up in the meantime. We could totally come back up in the meantime. I don't expect us, if we were to come back up, I think I drew that pretty perfectly. I wouldn't expect us to break 28, 30,000. I wouldn't expect that. 35,000 at the most. I wouldn't expect that range to get broken. If we were to come back up, we could do something like that, but then ultimately go lower. I would hate to see that, because then that just means our low is going to be further away time-wise than we thought. I would love to see it where we just get this low done with, and then we're working our way up. I'd love to see that, but who really knows what's going to happen? That's all I got for Bitcoin. Now let's move on to Dogecoin. Doge, USD. Yeah. Again, this is going to be a longer video. I'm trying to just cram them all in together. Okay. So Dogecoin. I'm not too excited for Dogecoin I am excited. I'm excited that the price is going to go down. That's what I'm excited for. But I want to point a couple things out. Let's see. So let's see here. So on the monthly time frame, we've rejected the 50 on the RSI. Clearly, we rejected that on this bullish month, this very bullish month, with no volume really on Bittrex. Let's see if there's any volume. I don't know, Doge USDT on Binance. It's a little bit of volume, but still not really a lot. A lot of volume for big, or a little bit of volume for big candle. Anyways, it's my little girl. So we're let's see here. Looking at this, all right. So ultimately, what we have for the price is we have a low, or we have a high. Oof, that magnet messed that up. Let's see. High. We have like lower highs here, whatever. Lower highs, and even here, this is even a lower high. So even after this bullish month, all we're doing really is confirming lower highs in a market that's producing lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, maybe lower lows. You know, we are clearly, in my opinion, in a descending channel of sorts. We could actually even draw a channel, I think. Let's see. Fib channel. Let's go on the weekly time frame. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. We got a little bounce here, a little rejection there, a little support here, resistance up here, kind of support down here. Yeah, it kind of looks good, I would say. But we're in some kind of descending channel is what I'm trying to get at. We're in some kind of pattern bringing us down like this. And while we're in the upper echelons of this pattern, that's a good thing. All we've done really is form lower highs, and we can prove that right here. Horizontal line, we take that lower high, lower high. Every single high is a lower high, which means that this run really wasn't that special. It was special if you were in and you had some to sell at the top. Good job, but really, let's see, man, tipped at the 2272. This 2272 keeps showing up, man. It's crazy. You hear a lot of 618s or 1618s, but the 2272, for some reason, it just keeps showing up. I don't know what that means. I'm not that well versed, but anyways, let's see here. So enough of the price stuff. Let's block that out. Looking at the RSIs, we can see that on the bright side, on the monthly, we are above the 50. That's good. We bounced off the 50 even. We do look, in my opinion, positioned to go lower. We're below this purple line and above the 50. That is a good thing, but the RSI does look like it's got a lower high. It wants to form lower lows. It's got this base. I think it wants to go lower, but who really knows? Here we've got, you know, bounce off the 50 there, which is positive. But if this month, oh, this is the weekly. This isn't the monthly. Oh, okay, cool. I'm sorry. So if this week doesn't close bullish, if we can't maintain an upward trajectory with this price action, really what we need to do is get above this purple line. If Doge can't get above that purple line at about 13 cents, then it is condemned, most likely condemned to lower prices. And I think it already is, honestly, but who knows? Who really knows? Let's see. Let's give it an honest look. Let's see here. From bottom to top, I'm going to delete the rest of this stuff, actually, just for now. From the bottom to the top, we're looking at the fib retracement here. We got a bounce on the 618 on a closing basis. That's actually really good. That actually looks really good. I'm not going to lie. And being at the prices we are at, I would expect us to probably come back up to this 12-cent zone for Doge at some point, just going off the fib scale. So that does look good. Bouncing off this 886, holding that as support down here. This isn't really known, you know, because we don't have the top yet. This happened before this top happened, so we wouldn't have known that's the 886, but you like to see things like this confer, bounce, you know, rejecting the 5 here. You kind of like to see that. It reinforces the idea that this is an accurate or a good fib retracement to go off of. And if it is a good one to go off of and the 618 is being respected, well, that's truthfully, that's a good thing. I mean, that for price to go up, that would be a good thing. So Doge could go up in the short term, but it could also go down. It could go lower. That's just from a fib perspective. There's other things saying it'll go lower, and I really do think it's going to go lower. The other things saying it's going to go lower, in my opinion, the R size, even though it's above the 50 and this purple, we're below the purple line, I do think it looks like this RSI wants to go lower. It is possible for that to happen. Sometimes, like I was saying before, sometimes the setup isn't perfect, and you just got to know how to read it whenever it's not the ideal setup. Like ideally, you would buy when you're above the 50 but below the purple line. But with how this has been acting, I'm just not convinced. And what we did, truthfully, with this pump, all we did again was form a lower high, bearish, and we rejected this purple line. We rejected it. That's bearish, especially with this RSI in comparison. So I do think, and we've got a lower high here on the RSI. If this week closes bearish, which it looks like it will, we're about to get an engulfing bearish week potentially. I'm not sold that Doge is going to go up from here. The fibs kind of do look good. I'm not going to lie, but I think it's made to look good. I think this is all a bull trap, And where could we go? Where could Dogecoin go? Well, truth be told, I think I've done this already, but maybe 3.5 cents. We could go down to 2.38 cents, somewhere as low as that. And if we're down there, honestly, like we put a line there, there's nothing really at all price wise here. There's no, the 1272 here on this yellow line. Okay, well, at least here we've got some of this going on. We've got a close and open. There's a wick here, so that means at some point throughout these weeks, there's probably some price action going on. We're kind of near this. This whole thing could be considered a range, but here we're literally in the middle of no man's land. So, and if we go back, we're kind of close to this all-time high, but really there's nothing else that we're close to. So, if we go through the 1272, the likely next target. I mean, to be fair, I don't normally include the 1414, but I have it on here for a reason. The 1414 is at this low on the weekly time frame, and it probably had some correspondence with daily price action in this week. So this could be a line too. Anywhere from 3 to 3.6 cents could be the bottom. If we go below 3 cents, though, if Doge does go below 3 cents, I don't think it's going to stop at this white line. I don't think it's stopping at the 1618. I don't think there's a reason for it to stop until, let's just go for it. Let's say the 2272, because that's been a very reoccurring number in this market. And the 2272 right here, that line, right, if I delete it, there's that line. I put it back on there. It's covering it up. It's at this previous range high. It's, it kind of confers with this over here this week. It bounced off, this week here. It kind of found support on it right there. It's not a lot to go off of. Don't get me wrong. But it's something. Anyways. I do think Doge is going lower. On a fib perspective, it does kind of look good. But on most other perspectives, I don't think it looks good. But who knows? Doge is one of those coins. It doesn't have to do what the rest of the market's doing. It could go up while everything else shits the bed. It really could. Ethereum's that way. Litecoin's that way. Bitcoin Cash is that way. At times. They're all like that at times. And this could be that time, but the charts, in my opinion, are not saying that. So while yes, Doge has the capability of going up more from here, I do think it's going lower. How low? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to hit new lows at this current moment. I think we're going to come back down and maybe flirt with this 5 cent to 7 cent, 8 cent region. I think we'll flirt with that zone for a little bit. Maybe we'll bottom sometime in like the middle of 2024 or 2023, sorry. Anywhere from like February till July, somewhere in there. Anywho, that's all I got for Dogecoin. That's all I want to say, I think. There was something. There's something. I don't know. This daily, on this formation on the daily, man, like, this just looks this looks really bad, you guys. This looks really, really bad. Wow. It's good that we got above the 50 here. If you bought above the 50 here, you would have gotten some continuation. You would have been right. But ultimately, this looks really bad, you guys. It's tested this purple line twice. The next time it comes down, I bet it breaks through it. When we're below the purple line again, This is going to be below the 50. We got a fresh cross. The last time we had a fresh cross, I mean, let's see, on both of them, that was up here. That was in November of 2021, so that was like the beginning of the bear market. So I don't know. This is not. It's not a good setup. We're about to cross the 50 on the daily here. It's not a good setup. This price action alone just looks disgusting. No volume. Nobody's trading. Nobody wants to buy your Dogecoins for 9.7 cents. Yep. The only people that are going to interact are the miners. They're going to sell their coins because they have to. That's just people are going to mine Dogecoin. They're going to process their transactions and they're going to get those rewards and they're going to sell them. And that's what's going to cause inevitably this pressure. Plus, there's people who probably want to see the market go down anyways, so they can scoop some up at lower prices. I'm just saying, man, this whole wonky just up and then the way this looks, it's ugly. It's very ugly. You got a lot of wicks to the upside, a lot of selling pressure. There's no volume. Nobody cares. I mean, it's in this is on Bittrex, so I mean that's not really a good measure of volume. Let's go. There's really not any volume. There's some volume to pump it up, you can see, but no follow through. No follow through. The only follow through is to the downside. So, and retrospectively, I mean, if we zoom it out, that volume ain't shit. That volume, it looked like a lot, right? It looked like a lot a second ago, but if you look at it, it really isn't. That was a lot of volume. You know, that was a lot of volume. That's not really anything. That we got one of those over here, and look at how much like it was a similar move, very big, but then we moved sideways from July of 2020 all the way. I mean, we didn't hit the low till about November of 2020. We moved sideways for a long time, just going down, slowly bleeding, and that's kind of what I think Dogecoin's going to do right now. I think it's going to be a very slow bleed for the next half year, maybe less, maybe more, something like that. It's going to go back below this purple line. It's going to go back below 7 cents. I do think we're going to be able to scoop some up below 4 cents. That's where I want to buy. But the markets don't care what I want. This is just what I'm saying for now. I think we're going to come back down to that level below 8 cents, flirt with that 5 to 8 cent zone for a little bit maybe, and just slowly bleed over the coming months. That's Dogecoin in a pinch right now. I wouldn't suggest buying it to anybody. I could be wrong. It could go higher, but if I'm wrong, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But for now, I don't think I am. I don't know. I could be, but I don't know. I want to look at the 4 hour. Let's go on the 4 hour. Rejecting the 50 here. This is spilling for more immediate downside. We are above the purple line on price. And we're above the 50 on the 4-hour RSI, the long-term RSI. So that's a good setup. We could come back up a little bit. We're at 9.6 cents. We could come back up to like 11, 12 cents, something like that. Totally possible. But this rejection of the RSI does not look good, but this stuff does look good. So, it's any man's game. I think with this price action looking kind of bad, getting bearish divergence in the mix of that all, I don't know if it's going to go up again. I do think it's going to go down, but who really knows? We did have the full moon 2 days ago, and we've had very bearish price action around the full moon. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see that within the next week. Now we're going to talk about the special surprise, mystery stock. Ooh, NIU. I've talked about this to a few people. If you're friends with me personally, you've probably heard me talk about the stock before. NIU Technologies is a scooter company. They're an electric scooter company. And if I click this here, it'll pull up a little consumer durables, motor vehicles. But it's EV vehicles, I'm pretty sure. It's all just electric vehicles. It used to say electric vehicles and electric trucks, but it doesn't say that anymore. The market capitalization for this is $378 million. It's pretty impressive. It could go higher. I mean, it has gone higher before. Prices right now are at $5.82. They were at one point at $53. I mean, essentially, that would put this market cap at about $3 billion. So yeah, it's it can gain some grounds, but man, this double top right here, that just reminds me of Dogecoin, what we were just looking at. Anyways, this chart looks beautiful, you guys. I mean, it looked ugly for a long time. You can see here on a weekly basis from, let's see, February of 2021, even longer than the crypto bear market. From February of 2021 all the way up until October of this year, we've just been down, man. Very down. And it didn't get easier. As you got to the end of it, in fact, it just got worse. Way worse. The slope of this just sloped down. It went down really fast week by week. On the bright side, on the bright side, we have this immaculate, beautiful, absolutely undeniable bullish divergence. You've got a low here, slightly higher low here. This low came all the way back at prices of 827. This low here at 268, and yet they're at the similar RSI reads, and this one's slightly higher. That is bullish divergence. That is classic bullish divergence on a weekly time frame. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's kind of shit that you get excited about, man. And you can see why. You can see why, because at the low, which mind you was already now in the last week of October, so technically the first week of November, a little more than a month ago. Since then, NIU is up 133%. This is why that divergence is beautiful. This is why stuff like that's beautiful. Let's go over what's not beautiful, or what's reason to maybe pump the brakes. Don't get excited. Don't like think you have to put the whole house on this coin or this stock just yet. You can see currently at this price that it's at right now, 582, which it's been at for a second, 582. Right now, in this range's highs, we're at this previous range's lows. This is classic. This is classic, you guys. We come down. I thought, whenever we were in like this range here, I thought that we were going to mess around a little bit more, kind of like we did over here. I thought we were going to mess around a lot more, bounce. I thought we were going to, have some fun. We did not have any fun. We actually just went straight through and down. And now we're testing this zone potentially as resistance. So before, where once before it was support all the way back over here, we could now be confirming it as resistance. And that would not be good. That would actually not be a good thing. What we want to see for NIU, what would really be good, is if in the next 25 minutes, because it is Friday, if in the next 25 minutes this week, if we could get, and the next week, truthfully, next week's really what's going to be important. If we can close above that line this week, even at it isn't bad, but I mean, I'd like to close above it. If we close above it, I guess technically we're 1 cent above it right now. Or I don't know. I just put that. That's because I just put it there. Let's see. Let's just see. Let's do a more. I don't know. Truthfully, if we close at this price this week, that actually looks good in my opinion. But the higher we close, the better. If we could close above this low close, the previous low close here, if we could close above that, basically above 580, 588. Sorry, forgive me. If we can close above that price, then that would be very good. That would be very indicative that we're going to test the highs of this zone, of this range. And the highs, just so you know, I mean, let's just say, let's go in order. Let's go in order. Because there is an order to this. I say the highs, but that doesn't mean the absolute highs. It doesn't mean all the way up here. No. It could mean these highs right here. It could mean these highs right here. It could mean these highs. And you can see why I put those lines where I did. It just makes sense. Here, this was the high of this range down here. It was kind of some resistance on a closing basis on these two places too. It was support even here. This line here, resistance, a little bit of support on a closing basis here, and resistance on a closing basis here, but then we broke above it and it was off to the races. Here, this was range highs. You could see the tips of the wicks all hit that one. And then this one was clearly the high, the all-time high for a good bit. That was a cycle's all-time high, so that is an important price range. What I'm getting at is, right now, if we can get above 588, that's this range's closing lows. If we can get above that line and close a week above that line, that would be indicative that we're going to the next line at 713. And if we can get above that line, then that line. You know what I mean? Like so on and so forth. So really, I mean, truthfully, If we can get above this line 588, I'm looking toward the top of this range, potentially at 890 or 1008. 713 might be a stopping point, but I'm looking toward the upside. Then what this would mean, if we can break into 588 right now, if we can do this with ease, and by ease I mean like literally in 1 week, like this week or next week, if we can do that, then I would be very inclined to believe that NIU is going to go to 890 or 1008. Without a doubt 713, but I'd be inclined to believe that it's going here. Potentially higher, but we can see previously in the past, anytime NIU bottoms out, it does like to do this little pattern right here, right? Comes down, then it comes up, and then it comes down, and then it comes up, and then it comes down, and then it comes up, right? You can see that. I mean, even in its downtrends, it likes to, you know, and that's basically what we're doing right now. We're forming one of these bottoms where it's then it comes down and then it comes up. And most of the time, I mean, we could see this up came a little higher than this down did. This up did not. This one did way more. I don't know. Even if we were to not come as high as where like this downtrend started, let's just say it started here. It could have started up here even. It's possible. Even if we weren't to come up as high as those, we could come up to like here at 802 and then come down. And 802 is kind of a familiar range. That, you know, that's like right in the middle of this whole range. You guys know how I like or how I am about middles, 50%. Those are definitely things to take into consideration. I want to see actually. Let's see here. Oops. It's in between the 50 and the 0.382. Let's just see. The 50 would technically be like right there. 850. I don't know. With this stock, what I'm trying to get at, guys, the main point of bringing this thing up, I know I've been like all over the place, is it looks to me like we're going to hit prices above $7. I think that's going to happen. I only have 10% left on my computer. It is dying, so I'm going to try to make this quick. I want to go on the daily. We can see the RSI here. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, man. I know a lot of people be like, oh, damn, it's overbought. That's dangerous. It's not good. Oh, no. It's showing bearish divergence. That's not good. We haven't confirmed bearish divergence yet. We have not. That's a fact. We just got above the purple line. Normally when we get above the purple line, we don't just nick above it. We tend to go a little bit higher. Somewhere like 754 sounds appropriate to me. If we take on a longer term time frame, if we take our high here and we take our last low that we just had, we've broken above the 236 here. I'm gonna put it on a weekly time frame just to make it a little bit more. We were just here, so I'm gonna use this again. We broke above the 236. We got 19 minutes to do it. I think it's safe to say, unless in the next 19 minutes we drop down, but we've done anything but drop. We've actually increased 2 cents since I started this video, or since I started showing it. 19 minutes to close. We're above the red line. What we could do is come back down to the red line, down to like 520. That might be a good buying opportunity if you're looking to buy. I'm not saying buy, but if you're looking to buy 520, 530, that's probably a good range to buy. What we're really looking to do now that we've broken the red line, is going to this yellow line, the 382 at $8.20. And I actually thoroughly believe we're going to hit that yellow line. I know I was talking about other things over here, just making random lines in the price action. Those lines are important too. But this fib from the current all-time highs to the current all-time lows might be the most important tool to analyze the price progression over the next year or so. And right now, what we can see, talking about price progressing, look at this volume. Look at this volume. High, really high toward the all-time highs. Okay, cool, great, whatever. Highest volume that we'd ever seen, actually. Great, by a long shot. This volume this week right here is the second highest volume that we've ever seen in a given weekly period, coming off of a low from the all-time lows right now. You're below right now even. You're at the low range from the previous all-time lows. You're at this low range. Imagine if you bought here and it went up to 50. You'd feel pretty good, right? We're coming off of bullish divergence, insanely beautiful bullish divergence. You can see it clear as day. higher lows, lower lows. Generally, whenever you do bullish divergences, you measure the price that you can expect it to hit is where the divergence started, right? That's a rule of thumb. It's not a precise science, but it's a rule of thumb. It's like an expectation, if you want to call it that. Well, this divergence started all the way back here at, you guessed it, 820. This line, look at where it closed, literally, where this low point closed, right here. The week closed on this one. The close, it says it up here in the C. It closed at 835. The 382 is at 820. There's a lot pointing to that range right there. There's a lot pointing to that range. And the divergence, the fib, the price action itself, it's like right in the middle of the range itself. Let's just see. Let's do it again. 851 is the middle of the range. Like it's right there above that 382, just barely. I know there's a lot of lines right now, but just keep up with me. Keep up with me. This RSI on the weekly looks beautiful. We're above the 50. Beautiful. Just off of this divergence, just straight up to look at the last time. The last time we did something like this, we weren't oversold. We were not oversold. We'd never been oversold before. And we went all the way up into overbought. Could we go all the way up into overbought? Could we do that? Could we even pump the brakes a little bit for a week or two? Stall and maybe present a good buying opportunity and then run up more. Sure, that's what this little divot was. That's what these little guys were, right? Like this little divot right here, we kind of stalled right here for like 3 weeks. And then we went off to the races. We stalled for a week. This little divot right here. And then we went off to the races. We're going to have that, sure. But volume's increasing. We're coming off of all-time lows, off of weekly bullish divergence. Go to the monthly. Monthly came off of oversold territories in the RSI. That's powerful. We closed a little bit higher in 21 days. If this goes up in 21 days, and it's definitely looking like it will, we're going to engulf this candle here. We're going to break back into this range, which is going to give us a lot of momentum to potentially move above it. If we can get above that 50 especially, it's good, man. It's good. What I want to get to, again, looking at the candles themselves, you got big green candles here. Very big green candles. It's 21 days left in the month. It could come back down. It's possible. If it does, we'll look at this differently. But for right now, the last time we saw big green candles like this was right here. When we were at $6, $11, whatever, and we went all the way up to $50. You could have bought it $6. You could have bought it $20. You still would have done great if you sold near the top. Anyways, volume's increasing. Candles are big and green. Weekly bullish divergence. The fibs look good. We've got the 236 that we've broken through. Anytime you break through the 236, you look to go to the 382. That's just how it is. It's a rule. If you're doing fibs, you know that. The first place you look to is the 236. If you find resistance on it, that's not good normally. If you break through it, okay, now you look to the 382. If you break the 382, okay, now you look for the 618. Maybe the 0.5, but you look for the 618. Maybe or you could look to find support on the 382. But ultimately, right now, we could look to same thing. We could look to find support on the 236 and then move up to the 382. That could happen. Or we could just go straight to the 382. Increasing volume on the weekly, increasing volume on the monthly. Daily is increasing volume as well. Oh,